Hey guys, Megan Mitchell here. I've been loving your submissions to our Stella Artois food board, and this week you inspired me to head to an apple orchard in the mountains of Southern California. I'm gonna go apple picking and make a delicious meal. Apples are a staple of California produce, and this orchard is 114 years old, making it one of the oldest in Southern California. They had 36 different varieties of apples, some I had never even heard of. They make their own apple cider. They even have made-to-order apple cider donuts, which, of course, I had to try some. Those are insane. It was amazing to be able to pick some of the ingredients off the tree that go right into my dish. I just picked all of these apples, and I'm excited to use them in a recipe. Since we're in this beautiful apple orchard, I thought I should make an apple chutney with pork loin. It's a perfect dish for fall. I'm gonna start by making the herb mixture that I will actually put inside the pork. Take some fresh rosemary off the stems and just roughly chop it. It adds a really savory flavor. It reminds me of fall. And a little ground fennel seed adds a nice licorice note to it. About 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. I'm gonna grate 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm grating instead of mincing, so that way you get the great garlic flavor throughout the dish. You don't bite into like a big chunk of garlic. With the zest of about 2 lemons, because it adds really great citrus flavor without adding that tart bite that you get from the juice. And a little salt, a little pepper. I'm gonna mix it together, and I'm gonna add a little oil, just depending on how thick it is. And you want it to be a paste. You don't want it to be too loose, because we're gonna stuff it inside this pork, and you don't want it to fall out the sides. And now onto the main event, and I've had my butcher butterfly it open for me so I can spread this mixture, and then I roll it back up, and it gives a nice spiral look, and every bite of pork you get a little bit of the mixture as well. So now I'm gonna tie it up. I'm gonna go right through this middle one, and then I'll do another tie through this second one so it holds everything together. I'm just gonna season the outside of my pork now. Now that my pork is ready, I'm gonna put it on my preheated grill, which I've oiled so my pork doesn't stick, and I'm gonna put it fat side down first. I'm gonna let my pork cook for about 30 minutes, and I'm gonna start on my chutney. I'm gonna start with my orange, and what I wanna do is take off 3 nice sized strips of the zest. I'm gonna save this for later and actually add the juice after it all cooks. So remember that lemon I zested before? Now I'm actually gonna use the juice in this chutney dish. Next, I'm gonna add some apple cider, about 1.5 cups. I got this cider here at the orchard. I love that I'm using their apples, their cider, some of their donuts. About 1/2 cup of just granulated sugar. I'm gonna add some cinnamon and some star anise. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and while that happens, I'm gonna prep my apples. And I have a Liberty and I have an Empire apple. They have a really nice tart bite, and they won't fall apart in this dish. I wanna start by peeling my apples. 2 things that just go together are apples and pork, like pork chops and applesauce. This is kind of my take on that. This looks just about right, so I'm gonna add my dried fruit. And I'm starting with 1/2 cup of chopped dried figs. And next, I'm adding 1/2 cup of dried apricots and about 2 tablespoons of dried cherries. All right, now to chop up my apples into a small dice. This is when your knife skills come in handy. And they don't need to be perfect, they'll cook down slightly in the chutney. The apples are gonna absorb all of that great flavor, and I'll know it's ready when it becomes a thick syrup. The chutney looks great, it's reduced, so I'm gonna turn off the heat and add that orange juice. And adding the juice at the end helps maintain that great bright citrus flavor. I think my pork's ready. It looks so gorgeous. So I'm gonna let this rest for a couple minutes, and I'm gonna grab my ingredients for dessert. When you're making a dessert with apples, you really want to use a tart apple. And I'm using Jana Gold, but if you're using a sweeter apple, then you can just adjust the sugar in the recipe. The thinner you slice these apples, the quicker they cook. I'm gonna start preheating my cast iron skillet. So while that preheats, I'm gonna add some really great spices, a little cinnamon, a little ground ginger, salt, and I'm gonna add a tablespoon of granulated sugar. So next I'm gonna add a little freshly grated nutmeg, the flavor you cannot beat. And the juice of about 1/2 lemon, because it keeps the apples from oxidizing, and it also helps cut some of the sweetness. I wanna make sure the apples are fully coated and covered. So I'm gonna add a little butter to my skillet. That is a hot skillet. Add these beautiful apples into this melted butter. While my apples cook down a little bit, I'm gonna start on my crumble. And I have some crumbled shortbread cookies. I'm gonna add 3 tablespoons of flour and then 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. And lastly, about 2 tablespoons of the softened butter. And you want it just to come together. This is a crumble, it's a crisp, so you want it to be crumbly. Now I'm gonna add my crumble to my bubbling apples. This looks so beautiful. And let it cook for a couple minutes. All right, I think the crumble's ready. I'm gonna check on it. Looks gorgeous. Carefully gonna remove it. Since I'm pairing this dish with Stella Artois, I think the sweetness from the apples will pair really nicely with the crisp notes of the beer. My chutney's cooled a little bit, so I'm gonna take out that star anise cinnamon and the orange peels. I'm gonna start by putting some of my chutney on the bottom of this beautiful platter. And now I'm gonna cut up my pork. Oh, you can see the herbs and the mustard are swirled through, and I'm just gonna take off this twine. Beautiful. All right, let's plate it up. Just gonna drizzle a little of this sauce from the chutney over the pork. There are apples in my crumble, there are apples in my chutney. You could not ask for a better seasonal meal. I had a blast here at the Apple Orchard. Thanks for sending me here. Where should I head to next? Be sure to tag your favorite food and destinations to the Stella Artois Food Board with SA Food Board. I can't wait to see where you send me.